Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Hi, folks. Welcome back. And to my new viewers, welcome from Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, and more. Worry about bloodbath for Democrats in midterms. The end of our country. Uh-oh. The recent New York Times op-ed said Democrats are making it too easy for Republicans to win in November. It's the end of our country. These are all drama queens. Drama queens. Why are the Democrats going to be swept out in a bloodbath? You did it to yourselves. You want to know the reason? Look in the mirror. Especially with your cahoots with the mainstream media. I mean, the Hunter Biden laptop is a glaring example, but there's thousands more. You lie upon lie upon lie. You're twisted. Things you believe in now, especially when it comes to children in school. And I can't go into detail because this is YouTube, but you get the idea. I mean, drag queen special. It's insane. Your position on abortion. A very sensitive issue and very polarizing, is completely off the hook. Everything you've turned into and believed in now, you've been taken over by the progressive wing of your party, at least publicly, makes you look incredibly bad because you are. You know, Donald Trump has a lot of faults, but you guys would lie upon lie upon lie. Look at this picture here with Stalwell. This guy got caught sleeping with a Chinese agent. He had a personal sexual relationship with her. That's his business. It's none of mine, but it's not the point. If that was anybody else, say a Republican, it'd be hell to pay. Your double standard and you're screaming constantly, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. If the Republicans win, it's the end of our country. What a crock of plain bullshit. You're like teenage girls frightened at the sounds outside in the woods. I mean, you guys are nuts. That's why. Because you've turned into what you've turned into. Since the beginning of the year, liberal media networks, such as, there's the whole list there, you know them by heart, have expressed concerns that the GOP would triumph over Democrats in the 2022 midterms, with many hosts asking how President Biden can save the party from an impending bloodbath. Now, in 2018, when the Democrats took over the House and the Senate, did they have a problem? I should say the House. Did the network heads, the talking heads, the morons say, looks like the Democrats are going to be triumphed over the GOP. What can they do to prevent the party bloodbath? No, they didn't care because they're one-sided. Is Fox one-sided? Yeah, pretty much. But at least they're a lot fairer on the vast majority of things they cover. You say, well, John, they lie too. Okay. Fox lie is basically telling your kid there's a Santa Claus. The mainstream media's lie is you lie to your spouse saying you were faithful to them. Yeah, they're both lies, but one's a heck of a lot bigger than the other. Let's read on. Remember the Russian collusion? Remember that one? Remember the hotel in Moscow where prostitutes were doing a blank on President Trump? I mean, it was insane. Insane. And then the call to current President Zelensky, who's now under some pretty good crap going on in Ukraine. It was a perfect phone call. Just because Trump said so doesn't mean it wasn't. Even the intelligence service, who listens on all the phone calls on my dad, said, yeah, there's nothing there. You guys did it to yourselves. You want to go against Trump and the Republicans on issues? Then you know what? Sit down with some people that have at least 3 brain cells touching and write out some proposals. Can't do that, though. New York Times published an op-ed in which columnist Thomas Edsel asserted the Democrats are making it too easy for Republicans to claim victory and slam liberals for turning away from the working class while tolerating brazen crime. All true. But that's what you've become. You've become this internet bubble, progressive nutbars that thinks the world is flat. Meanwhile, on the March 30th airing of MSNBC's Meet the Press Daily, Chuck Todd sounded the alarm on Democrats' dwindling chances of victory in November with a midterm meter that placed the president's party in a shellacking category below bad, decent, and exceptional. Yeah, here's another one. Here's another one that pretends to be unbiased. These guys all suck. They're all guilty. You want to know why the Democrats are going to get killed, Chuck? Look in the mirror, and all your colleagues too. Unbelievable. How so self-unaware these morons are. There's a glaring example right there on the right. You might not be able to see it, but there's another story on Fox Nation. Wikipedia co-founder says less relentless takeover of mass media ruined the website he helped build. You know, Trump might not be the most eloquent speaker in the world, the most charismatic. You know, does have some charm to people that like him.
It means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to shit, okay? It's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
He's not as good of a public speaker, say, as Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or Ronald Reagan, for that matter, okay? And there are some out there that just have that gift. He doesn't. But it doesn't mean what he's saying is wrong. This is not the first time that Todd has attempted to highlight Democrats' poor odds. Well, yeah, because it feeds right into the fear of their demographic that watches their shows. Oh, my God, the Republicans are going to take over. It's the end of the country as we know it. Hide, hide, hide. What are we going to do? It's incredible to me. This is a huge red flag. And he went through, you know, how the registered Democrats and some of the numbers. Well, speaking to Representative James Clyburn, now, by the way, James Clyburn is the one that basically intervened during the Democratic primary and endorsed Joe Biden. And then the Democratic Party made deals with the rest of the Democrats so they would drop out over time so Biden would get the nomination. They ask him how to improve the Democrats' chances. He's one of the main culprits. Other hosts questions, similar questions, how the Democrat Party can improve their position. You've had the fringe take over your party. Everything is racism. Everything is transphobia. Everything is homophobia. Everything is equity, which is racist. Racist and equity and equality aren't the same. They're polar opposites. You've taken the English language and terms and twisted them to your own meanings. And people aren't buying the bullshit anymore. It's that simple. I am not some high-paid political operative. And I could figure it out in 5 minutes. Can the president provide the kind of relief that is necessary to prevent a Democratic rout? He's the poster boy for what's wrong with them. What can President Biden do to change the minds of voters? How about shut the F up, for starters? MSNBC host Andrea Mitchell unabashedly asked the guests whether the war in Ukraine was at least helping the Democrats in the White House heading the midterms. Well, you know, that's a fair question. Some media figures went a step further, wherein that a Republican win could be the end of America and voting rights, while also in one instance preemptively accusing them of cheating. And there you go. They see they're going to lose. They can't change the rules this time. Can't go into detail because this is YouTube. They can't change the rules. So what do? I'm a chess player. Been playing for a long, long time. Even have a chess channel. I love the game. But you sit down and play with somebody, And right in the middle of the game, they changed the rules. Well, how the hell can you play? Well, how long is that rule going to be in place? Well, as long as I feel like it, I might change the rules later. You can't play, which is the whole idea. So instead of saying, well, we can't change the rules, we're just going to accuse the other side of cheating, even before anything happens. Unbelievable. Oh, God. Only 43% of Democrats had extremely or very high enthusiasm, with 51% versus with Republicans. Question why voters were more concerned with voting rights and the threat to democratic values. I live in upstate New York. I was a local elected official in the early 2000s for 8 years on city council. As a Democrat back then, not anymore. I was an election inspector. That's the guy that sits at the table when you go to vote. I've been involved in 6 personal campaigns running for public office and dozens of other political campaigns on both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican. I've been an election inspector several times. I've never heard of anyone in this county of almost 200,000 people in the last 10 to 20 years that had a right to vote, that went to vote, and their right was taken away from them. Ever. Not one. Because that certainly would have made the news. Not one. It's a scam. Given this ongoing threat to democratic values, right? Shouldn't voters be more determined to go to the polls? And why do you think they're seeing that reluctance and a lack of enthusiasm? Because your party sucks. Your party sucks. If you have to make it so easy for people to vote that they're too damn lazy to leave their kitchen table, then those are people you really want picking elected officials, honestly? We're not talking about disabled people here. We're just talking about people that are too damn lazy to get up and stand in line for half an hour once a year. And they'll say, well, the big cities. Yeah, big cities have long lines because guess what? There's a lot of people there. Duh. If you're so worried about losing your right to vote, but you're too lazy to stand in line, those two things don't make it. Then, of course, you get this beauty, Joy Behar. Oh, my God. On NBC The View co-host Joy Behar, who could be one of the dumbest people on television, and that's a really competitive field, said she would be very worried if Republicans take over the House and the Senate following the midterms, claiming it would spell doom for the United States. That would be the end of our country, the beginning of the end of this country, she said in January. Oh, my God. And here we are, this piece of work. Mr. Impeachment himself, him and Adam Schiff, pencil neck Schiff. Eric Swalwell delivers remarks. Yeah, okay. Eric Swalwell made a similar comment when he told MSC's Chris Hayes that a Republican sweep in the midterms would end voting as we know it. What a crock of bullshit. I'll just use the example from my county. I've never heard of one person that wasn't allowed to vote that had the right to in 20 years, and there's 200,000 people in this county. Ever. And MSNBC and CBS frequent fill-in host Jason Johnson, sounds like a porn star, and guest Ian Premer both said Republican victories in November were the result of cheating, or at least give of the impression of an illegitimate election. And there you have it. There doesn't have to be cheating. The Democrats can say, we can give the impression that it's illegitimate, and it's the same. These people suck, which means give the impression, which means zero evidence. Well, it's all voter suppression. Voter suppression, voter suppression. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Other countries in Europe that are very far left, I'll have much stricter standards for voter ID and such to vote. Very strict. I wouldn't exactly call them right-wing countries. I can't seem to understand why Republicans are optimistic for the next year, even if they're sort of waving themselves and wrapping themselves in a Trump burrito is they're going to cheat, Johnson said on MSNBC. Now, why isn't this guy purged from social media? He's giving out misinformation. He won't because he's on the Democrat side of the aisle. Ian Bremmer was less explicit in his perception of the upcoming election. The United States has an election process that is increasingly broken. Nonsense. Only when illegal things happen. Increasingly delegitimized by you guys. You guys, when you lose, you kick and scream. It's not fair. You must have cheated. In the midterms election, especially if you have a significant win for a Trump-led Republican Party, means that 2024 is going to be seen as illegitimate and potentially a constitutional crisis. Bullshit. Absolute nonsense. In an early snapshot of the 2022 midterms, Republicans maintain a narrow advantage over Democrats. That's a nationwide poll of the entire country. You have to break it down by congressional districts in order to get a better idea and more of a real picture. If the election were held today, 49% would vote for a Republican candidate and 45% would vote for a Democrat, according to Fox News poll of registered voters. Now, it says registered voters. It doesn't say likely voters. People that have a history. When I used to knock on doors as a candidate and talk to people in the district that I tried to represent, I did for 8 years, I talked to the people that voted regularly. Because why would you, as a candidate, knock on somebody's door that hasn't voted in 3 or 4 years? It's a waste of time. So when they say registered voters, they don't say if these people vote regularly or not. I'll bet you the number's even higher for the Republicans. This is the third straight month the GOP has had an advantage. Yeah. And they're doing everything in their power. And that's not counting the I'm not saying, or the people that don't tell, of the Democrats that are saying, I've had it with the Democrat Party, but I'm certainly not going to tell a pollster. I don't want my name. God knows I might work for a county or a city or a state. I can't even tell you how many people we went around collecting signatures for Republican candidates here in upstate New York said right to my face as I went to their door, and other people as well. I'm not going to put my name on there. I work for the state of New York, or I'm a guard in the prison system, and I'm getting close to retirement. I can't put my name on anything. I'm afraid of repercussions from the Democrats in these deep, deep blue states, and they won't sign. And those are the people that aren't being counted. It is going to be a bloodbath. It is going to be just sweep them out. And Nancy Pelosi will have the privilege of being the only speaker of the House of Representatives to lose the majority twice in the history of the country. Congratulations, you idiot. Why are you guys going to get killed? Because you went off the rails. You went off the hook. You lied and just ridiculous lies and just twisting things around. In your views on abortion and trans rights and everything else in schools and CRT is just American people just are fed up with all of it. All of it. You allowed your party to be taken over by lunatics. Now comes the price to pay. And no one's more delighted than I. The only question is now, will the Republicans finally do something? They're notorious for winning and losing at the same time. We will see. I know this video is a little long, but I think this was important to cover. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.